Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Summit on Peace in Ukraine. Last weekend, the Summit on Peace in Ukraine was held in Switzerland. Probably the most important event in the world of politics since the beginning of this year. Most of the authoritative news media highly appreciated the work of Ukrainian diplomats in organizing an event of this level. Personally, I can't imagine how technically difficult it is to gather so many different people with sometimes different opinions and sit them all at one table. And at the same time, it's unusually easy from an ideological point of view. All these countries want peace and prosperity. It's simple. Look, Brazil shouldn't have been there, but they were. Saudi Arabia didn't confirm participations, but it was there. The Argentine president changed his plans to be here. We can safely say that at some point the issue of participation in this summit has already become a matter of prestige and relevance. Look, the world leaders are here. Are you among them or not? Before the start of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine was a country in the post-Soviet space and, in the eyes of many people, was perceived as Russia's younger sister, which in everything depends on the decisions of the older one. In February 2022, the heads of the world's intelligence agencies gave us several days in confrontation with Russia. Today is the 846th day of full-scale invasion, and Ukraine is forming a new balance of world political forces while continuing to conduct a successful defense. Isn't this wonderful? Yes, it sounds a little pretentious, but if you put aside emotions, then look at how much has been done. To my regret, I could not say that I was so proud of my country before the full-scale invasion began. Now I admire many people and I'm proud to be in the same boat with them, even being under constant missile attacks for the third year in a row. This video actually inspired me a lot. Definitely a moment in world's history. If before the war someone had said that 100 world leaders would gather at the request of the Ukrainian government and the president of another country would say, "Glory to Ukraine," and the others would respond, "Glory to the heroes," then I would not have believed that this would even happen. So that you understand the context for me, I'll tell you a short personal story. In 2016, I came home to Mariupol and had a lunch at a local restaurant. There were about 10 people inside. I sat with my back to the entrance. A Ukrainian military man entered the hall and loudly said, "Glory to Ukraine," literally behind me. It was unexpected and I was confused. Out of 10 people, 2 answered, "Glory to heroes," but not me. The soldier was not very pleased with this reaction and loudly asked, "Are the others numb?" At that moment, I had no desire to answer him. For me, it felt different than now. During the 2.5 years of the active phase of war, I saw people give their lives for these words. You've probably already seen a video where Russian soldiers shoot a Ukrainian captured soldier with a cigarette in his mouth as he says, "Glory to Ukraine" to the camera. This video broke my heart. This brave man was Alexander Matsievsky, and he was from Moldova, but died fighting for the independence of Ukraine where he lived. I will leave a link to the Wikipedia article about him below to respect his memory. So now the fact that world leaders know the expression "Glory to Ukraine" and in response say "Glory to heroes" means a lot to us. This is a confirmation that people value our struggle and recognize the value of the heroic deeds of those who defended their homeland or came here to help. Below I'll discuss some of the most interesting statements from this summit that I remember. This is a double translation from the original language into Ukrainian and vice versa, so these are not direct quotes but rather an interpretation of what was said. Kamala Harris. Putin calls not for negotiations but for capitulation. This is true. If you have seen the draft of Russian so-called peace plan, then it describes an almost complete reduction of Ukrainian army, and in fact, they tried to play the Budapest Part 2. Let's invite the Ukrainians to give up their weapons as they previously agreed. No, not this time. The United States will allocate $1.5 billion for energy restoration and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. I am certainly grateful, but I feel that it is not the US that should give their money at this point. It would be better if the Russian frozen assets in the US were allocated to restore what they destroyed. But it's important to understand that if the United States gives money, then the United States wants to get something in return. I still don't believe in altruism. In one way or another, the United States will benefit from this investment. Just keep that in mind. I'm grateful for the support and I'll always remember that. Olaf Scholz, the end of the war will be discussed at the next peace summit. This is a logical statement. The first peace summit was planned in this way. We gather a maximum of countries and propose 10 points of the Ukrainian peace formula and do not invite Russian representatives to the first summit because we need to first gather people and not to try to drag them into such a difficult dispute right away. Now we have a discussion of 3 points from the peace formula. If you remember the position of Mr. Scholz at the beginning of 2022, then these are two different people. I am pleased at least with the change in rhetoric. I communicate quite a lot with people from Germany, including those involved in politics, and I have a great respect for the German approach to the protection of human rights and property rights. Giorgia Meloni: it is important to join forces to protect Ukraine. If Russia does not agree to the terms, we will force them to surrender. This is quite a loud statement considering that Putin is still confident in his invincibility. I understand that politicians need to maintain a certain line, but my personal opinion is that words are just words. I hope that Prime Minister of Italy will back up these words with actions, because words have no effect on Putin. He understands only brute force, and this differs from most civilized countries. Our task is to defeat him by his standards, not by ours, and to force him to accept the theorem of the civilized world, the power of law, not the law of power. Fumio Kishida, Japan. Peace in Ukraine must be fair and lasting without changing state borders. Japan is at its best, conservative, strict, rules-loving. Probably of all countries participating in this summit, Japan is the most distant from us not only geographically but also culturally. Ukrainians are cheerful, outgoing people, often noisy and fun. The Japanese, on the contrary, are reserved, calm and more private. But we find common points and common values. And our countries agree that the territorial integrity of the country is the basis. You can't just come and cut off piece of the country because you have the strength to do so. Peace in Ukraine must be fair without changing borders. I fully support this. Prime Minister of Croatia Plenković: Croatia is for a world where victims should not capitulate and leave their territory to the aggressor. I lived in Croatia for a few months before the war and was amazed at how similar we are to the Croatians. Fun fact, Croatians understand Ukrainian language but do not understand Russian. My friend has been traveling to Croatia for 10 years and has made many friends there with whom she discusses various issues without knowing Croatian language. She just speaks Ukrainian and they understand each other. I really want to go to Croatia again sometime after the war. For me, this place was such a hideout from the dynamic schedule of my life. Jake Sullivan commenting on Putin's latest peace plan: it's irresponsible, throws away morality and common sense, so this proposal will be rejected. Okay, I'm glad to hear that people understand how all of Putin's proposals to limit our army equipment, to take away a third of the country's territory, including the entirety of my native Sea of Azov, are crazy. To be honest, I'm tired. It already shows how insane Putin's ideas are. I want to discuss real steps to solve this problem. You know what it looks like? You and your friends are going to play a ball, and then a bully comes, takes the ball from you, beats the youngest participant and threatens to beat everyone else. And at the rest, older participants do not want to touch him and try to calm him down while the younger one is bleeding from the nose. This is literally what it looks like. In a classic teen movie, the good guys would do anything to make the bully pay for his crime. But in reality, we have been discussing for third year now how to help the younger one not to die in a fight. Anwar Gargash, advisor of the President of the United Arab Emirates. The Emirates want to sign an agreement with Ukraine and expand trade. The Emirates are an important player on the world stage, also because many Russians use Dubai as a place for their financial vaults, fearing the nationalization of the currency in their country. Of course, the Arabs make decent money from this and they benefit from the cooperation with Russia. And here the country officially wants to deepen relations with Ukraine. I'm happy to see this. I was in the Emirates once and I liked it there. A completely different model of society, and it was interesting for me to communicate with the locals as a journalist and a traveler. During COVID times, many Arab families flew to Ukraine on vacation, precisely because of the comfortable conditions for visas and permits. Many spoke well of the trip. My opinion may sound primitive, but I really want to see more bridges than walls between countries. Ursula von der Leyen: when Russia says that they are ready for peace based on the UN statute, then the time will come to include it in the list of participants in the peace summit. Oh, Mrs. von der Leyen, I so wish that one morning Putin would wake up, look in the mirror and say, "Damn it, I turned into a bloodthirsty monster. I killed 1 million people and brought suffering to millions of others. Children lost their parents. Parents are burying their children. Nature is suffering. The economy is shaking. Millions of people have lost their money, homes, health and use because of me. Most countries in the world avoid Russians. I want to apologize for these terrible mistakes and make amends so that my country can be truly respected and not just feared and avoided." But unfortunately, in this version of the universe, this does not happen. Dictators go to the end. These are just 10 versions of what was heard at the Peace Summit. I've read a ton of articles and reviews, and honestly, I haven't seen any particularly controversial statements. Please write if you know the statements of politicians who were present and do not agree that peace in Ukraine should come in strictly accordance with the UN statute. Unfortunately, I am very much out of work schedule due to my health. I need time to finish some things in the hospital, and after that I hope I will have more time and I will be able to shoot these videos for you again. But for now, there is too little time and days, electricity in sockets and mental strength in me. Sorry that the schedule is off. I want these videos to be useful and become at least a small reason for a discussion. Often, I really lack the opinions of people outside to understand how I can do my job better. The video about the German guy who made me start talking on camera is still in my plans. I don't have a team that would write all this, and I'm not sure that one is needed because these are all purely my feelings and thoughts. I will try to develop this format. I barely wrote this text for this video over the course of 3 days, wandering from outlet to outlet in different cafes between hospitals. I hope everything will stabilize. Thanks for watching and see you later.